Well, hello, and here today on the Rusty Glove Box, what we're going to do today is I'm going to make a bird feeder stand. I am tired of having the squirrels jumping out of the tree, grabbing my bird feeder, and they just devastate the bird feeder. They empty all the seed out. It's on the ground, the birds don't get it, and the squirrel gets all. But anyway, I went to the hardware store, picked up a few parts here. I'll go over it and see what you think. Well, what we have right here, these are plant hangers, like for potted plants. You can hang a plant on that. And let's get a measurement on that. I think they're about 15 inches. So, it's a pretty good size. This is a 1 5/8 chain link fence. Painted post, and it's 6 foot long. This is an old cast iron umbrella stand that I had around the house here, and I've been hanging on to it. And I had used it as a tool post to put different tools in at the top, but I thought, it'd be a perfect weighted stand for this bird feeder. And this right here, I'm going to make one of those cones to help keep the squirrels from trying to climb up the post to get to the feeder. So I'm going to take you along as I do this and see what you think. Okay, the first thing I did is I marked where I want these post hangers, the little pot hangers, to be. And the way I accomplished that, I took a piece of paper, wrapped it around the pipe to get the length that I needed, total length, and then folded it in thirds. And once I got that set, then I could mark each spot where that intersected, and I used my paint marking pen to get that location. Next, I'm going to take some drill screws and just drill screw those hooks on there. So here's what I've got. I've got the 1 5/8 chain link fence tube. I've got 3 of those plant hangers on it, and I used drill screws, attached them with drill screws. And that's the umbrella base that I already had. And you could use, put it in a bucket and put cement in the bucket, or put pea gravel in the bucket, whatever you'd like. But you'd need a weighted base, and that way I'm going to be able to hang my feeders off of this. All right, those squirrels are pretty tricky. They can climb up this pole. So what else I'm going to do, I'm going to make a cone. This is a piece of aluminum sheeting, and it's 22 by 22, I believe, or 22 by 24. And it's aluminum painted on one side. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a circle, and I'm going to cut, I believe with a hole saw, a 2-inch hole. And then I'm going to put a slit, just one slit in it, and that way I can fit it onto that pipe. Well, here's my piece of sheet metal, and it's 22 by 24. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut roughly a 22-inch diameter circle out of that. And the way I'm going to do it, I found the center of the 22 inches. I drilled a hole in the center, and I'm going to take my marker and stick it in here and just go round and round like a clock. And that's going to help me find a circle. I'm also going to have a center. That's important too, because when I use my hole saw in the center here to make clearance for this pipe when I wrap it around, that's why I need to use the hole saw in the center. You could use some little hand shears or something like that. It wouldn't have to be a hole saw, but I have it, so I'm going to use it. Well, I've got my circle marked, and then the next thing is I'm going to use my electric shears to cut the circle. You could use some hand shears if you have them, but you're going to need something to cut it. I guess you could use a jigsaw or something like that. but you're going to need something to help you cut that circle. Well, we've got our circle cut out, so the next thing I'm going to do is remove this screw and then get my, I believe I have a 2-inch hole saw, and I'm going to drill a 2-inch hole in the center. All right, well, here's the start of our cone shape. I've got a circle. It's roughly 22, 21-inch diameter. I've got a 2-inch hole in the center, and I've got that slit, so when I'm able to kind of fold that circle, it's going to make a cone shape. And what I did, I just grabbed the edges and pulled them together, and let's see, you can see I have this overlapped. It's probably close to 4 or 5, maybe even 6 inches. You just pull it together till you get the cone shape that you like. And when you do that, then I will put some 1/4-inch bolts in here. You could put smaller. I'll tell you what, I'll put smaller in there. Okay, so we got started, and I used 1/8 pull rivets, a little rivet like that, and you use a little washer. For aluminum, you needed a little washer, and I used that on the backside, a little 1/8 washer, and I put several of them here. I went down this seam, and because where the overlap was, I put a few extra here, and so that is plenty strong, much stronger than something you would buy. And just so you have an idea of the depth of the cone, it's about 3.5, 3 3/4 inches. So it's a nice size cone, you know. That should keep any squirrel from climbing up the pole and getting to the feeder. All right, this is just a piece of thin metal. It's like 1/8 metal, and I think this was a speaker bracket or something like that I got, and I thought that was a pretty handy little piece of metal, and I hanged on to it. I'm gonna cut it into a 5-inch piece here. I've got a 5-inch here with a 90 already built into it, and then I'm gonna cut another 5-inch piece here. So I'm gonna have enough to make all my brackets to hold my cone up. All right, well, here I've got my little brackets. They were 5-inch brackets, and I bent them in the middle and kind of angled them down, drill screwed them into the post. And there we go. We got us a bird feeder stand with a squirrel guard to keep that old pesky squirrel from getting all our bird seed. All right, well, here we are, finished product. I'm gonna move it out to the backyard and probably put some feeders on it and see how it looks.